Hi dear students, a warm welcome to Learn Poem from your 9th standard English book. Dear viewers, kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel and encourage us. Unit 2, Poem, A Poison Tree. Dear students, let's read the poem first. A Poison Tree. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. William Blake. Dear children, this poem was written by William Blake. He was born on 28 November in 1757 at Soho in London. William Blake had a pleasant and peaceful childhood. He studied in Royal Academy of Arts and he began to write and paint during his early years itself. He was an English poet, painter, printmaker, and a visionary who worked hard to bring about a change both in the social order and in the minds of men. He was not recognized during his lifetime, but now he is considered to be an important figure in the history of the poetry and visual arts of the Romantic age. The Bible was an early and profound influence on Blake and remained a source of inspiration throughout his life. Most of his poetry concerned his politics, vision, and self-invented mythology, and he died on 12th August 1827. Some of his famous poems are The Lamb, The Tiger, The Blossom, The Schoolboy, etc. This poem, A Poison Tree, was published in the year 1794 as part of his Songs of Experience collection. It is a short and deceptively simple poem about suppressing anger and the consequences of doing so. The poet describes two situations here. Number one, in which the speaker is angry with his friend. Number two, in which the speaker is angry with his enemy. The speaker presents a powerful argument against the suppression of anger. The poem implies to the reader that the suppression of anger is morally dangerous, leading only to more anger or even violence. Let's go with the poem, children. First stanza. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. In the first two lines, the speaker of the poem tells us he was angry with his friend and he admitted his friend openly that he was angry. The speaker and his friend sorted out things by talking or explaining with each other, and then the speaker's anger or the bad feelings against his friend ended. The straightforward simplicity, frankness, and honesty had an extreme effect to ease the speaker's wrath and helped him to overcome the anger with his friend. So the poet started this poem with peaceful beginning. By contrast, in third and fourth line, the speaker was angry with his foe, means enemy. He didn't tell his enemy about his anger with him. Instead, he suppressed his anger and actively tended to his wrath. So his anger started increasing intensely. Let's move on to stanza number 2. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. Here the speaker feared that if he expressed his anger to his enemy, he would harm him, so that he suppressed or buried it like a seed that germinates. And he cultivated his anger as if a seed planted in a garden, and watered the anger tree day and night by shedding tears, thinking about the ill or the injustice done to him by his enemy. The speaker reveals he smiled outwardly. More curiously, he put on false smiles, which acted like sunlight helping a tree to grow. And he was friendly to his foe, so that his foe would trust him and be close to him. That is how he was scheming to trick and trap his enemy. Thus, the speaker's careful cultivation of negative emotions and anger encouraged or increased his fear, pain, frustration, stress, and guilt, which in turn simply nourished more anger. Let's now move on to stanza number 3. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. Here the poet expresses that the speaker's anger against his foe began to grow constantly, day and night, like a tree inside his heart and mind. And the tree bore a bright and delicious apple. The apple from the anger and poison tree attracted the attention of his enemy, and the enemy knew it belonged to the speaker. Here the apple symbolizes the speaker's anger and his plan with his enemy. The enemy probably thinks and believes the speaker is good because he is outwardly pretty good, smiling and soft like a shining apple. But the speaker has hidden his anger beneath the shiny, smiling surface. He is playing tricks and setting traps for his enemy. Let's move on to stanza number 4. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. One day, the enemy snuck or crawled into the speaker's garden during the night and ate the apple from the tree. The next morning, the speaker seems to be glad because his foe is lying dead under the tree, having eaten the poisoned fruit. Here the poet used the poetic device allusion. The poet alludes to the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and the fall of man in the biblical book of Genesis. Adam and Eve being deceitfully persuaded to eat the fruit from the forbidden tree of knowledge. Satan, disguised as a serpent, was the one responsible for influencing and persuading Eve to eat the fruit, which is commonly depicted as an apple. Then the fall of man, or the fall of Adam and Eve, took place in the paradise, that is the Garden of Eden. Hence, here the poet implies the fall of man to the fall of speaker's enemy. Dear children, shall we summarize the poem in few words? Yes. Once the speaker was angry with his friend. He expressed his anger and it ended. But when he was angry with his enemy, he didn't reveal his anger. Instead, he allowed his anger to grow like a tree planted in the garden. The speaker nurtured his anger and he dealt with his foe with false smiles, cunning tricks, and was setting traps to bring him down. The tree grew big and bore a bright apple, which his foe ate during the night and died. Hence, the next morning, the speaker found his foe lying murdered or dead under the tree. Dear students, let's now analyze the poetic devices used in this poem. In second stanza, first and third lines, the poet has used metaphor. What is metaphor? A metaphor is quite similar to a simile. Metaphor is used to compare two unlike things. But a metaphor has an implied or a hidden meaning between unrelated things. We can use metaphors to explain an idea, but its literal meaning should not be taken. It is only to be used as a symbolism. Here, I watered it in fears. I sunned it with smiles. The poet has used extended metaphor. The process of cultivating one's emotions is compared to cultivating a plant. And in third line, he compares the nurturing of grudge to the nurturing of a plant. The emotion is followed through an entire growth cycle until it blossoms into death. Moving on to the alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant letters or similar sounds at the beginning of words in a set or series of words. We see the second line of first stanza. I told my wrath did end. We find wrath starting with W, wrath again starting with W. These are the alliterated words in this line. Third line in second stanza, and I sunned it with smiles. Sunned and smiles starting with S. Second line in third stanza, till it bore an apple bright. Bore, bright starting with B. Let's now see the rhyming words and rhyme scheme in the poem. Rhyming words are two or more words which have the same sound. Words rhyme if they have similar sounds when said aloud. Rhyming words usually occur at the end of the lines in a poem. In first stanza, we see the rhyming words at the end of each line. Friend rhymes with second line end. Foe rhymes with grow. And in second stanza, fierce rhymes with tears. Smiles rhymes with whiles. Third stanza, night rhymes with bright. Shine rhymes with mine. And in fourth stanza, stole rhymes with pole. Sea rhymes with tree. Moving on to rhyme scheme. In stanza number 1, we see the same rhyming words have the same rhyme scheme. Friend, end. We give them A. Foe, grow. B. So altogether, this stanza has got the rhyme scheme A, B. All the stanzas of this poem has first two lines having the same rhyming words and rhyme scheme. The second two lines have the same rhyming words and rhyme scheme. So dear children, read the poem repeatedly for better understanding. Study well. Happy learning. Thank you.